we go. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna take the other two. Got it.
So I have two, I'll let people, maybe I'll just chat a little bit while you're finishing your pace. I have two movement concepts I wanted to play with today. But I also wanted to check in. For me, this is kind of this is like a new beginning, partly because we're moving on with COVID. We started that process, and then I've been gone and otherwise occupied, with Bob's health and care, and we've missed two classes. So there's been kind of a break, like a semester break, if you wish. I mean, in terms of our classes, we've had a bit of an interruption. So let's first start by, if you would like to share sort of where you're at and what your intentions are for the class, for today, for going forward with this work, if anything pops into your mind.
Well, if nobody else says, I'll say, so mine is really grounding.
Okay.
Anything and everything, apparently.
Okay.
Yesterday I had just a little, anyway, I had a little tip, I guess, or because I didn't fall, I wasn't standing, so I didn't fall, but I fell into. I leaned on something and I didn't realize, I couldn't remember how unstable it was actually, I haven't done it. And I fell into it and I thought, oh my gosh. And yet I was having a great day up until then. So I thought, okay, somewhere there's something to do with just be grounded.
Okay. So Patsy, you had Patricia.
I've been doing quite a bit of programs on the internet, which I had chosen not to do for a while, but there were a couple that really grabbed me, and they have been very, very good for me. And I have just gone really deep within myself and feeling very, very good. Things are very different. I'm seeing things differently. I had memories of things that happened to me in the past that were life-changing, and I've incorporated them again, and I'm feeling really, really good.
Super. Patsy, I know you had your hand up there.
So I didn't fill in, or I didn't send you the little encouragement that I had, but I said, I like to feel confident that what I'm doing is enough. Then I am more grateful and more thankful with what is being done, because that often is my trouble. I want to do more, but I can be grateful with what is getting done. And I think this class has helped me to do that. So thank you, Dana.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's
Like
beautiful.
to add
And
something.
I can really relate to that, Patsy. Patricia.
I'd like to add something with that, how wonderful this class has been, because there for a while, this was my only contact. I really looked forward to the Wednesdays. And then three weeks ago, my building opened up again. So I'm doing the brain gym here every Monday morning. So I had Monday and Wednesday where I was connected with people, and that really helped me. But this class has been very special. So thank you, everybody here.
Yeah. Well, I second that, or third that, or whatever. Absolutely.
So Ruth, you're unmuted.
Am I muted? Okay.
Yes, no, you're unmuted. So I knew that you were ready to go.
No, I'm very centered. I think it's because I'm dancing every day, and that's what I love to do. And it's made me realize how much I miss being in a dance studio, and being able to really move. Yeah, just how good it is for the brain and body, and yeah, nice to see. And with it, it's all over 60s, the group. The ladies of 75, 78 in the class, but they're all fit and healthy and moving well, and it's quite inspiring to see that caliber of work going on at such a great old age. So I'm just sort of, yeah, give thanks for my well-being.
Super.
Old age.
Odd.
I'm gonna be 78 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's what I mean. These ladies are so, yes, exactly. It's people like you who inspire the youngsters like me to know that we can carry on to that age and still dance and still have it in us. So.
So Audrey.
Just really how much I've enjoyed the class and the connection with people while we were locked down for so long, and to see what other people are doing and how they're handling things. And now that we're able to get out and do things, it's so great. I'm just feeling good about it.
So I was interested in exploring two ideas in terms of movement, and maybe deconstructing, and then deconstructing the movement that we do in the Qigong, so that we can then amplify it, integrate it in a different way. I know that probably sounds kind of vague, but the two different concepts I wanted to look at are ones that we've worked on, the 3 dimensions from Brain Gym, but looking at them also, I mean, it's all those levels. We've looked a lot at the metaphorical levels of how our balance in the different axis of movement reflects where we are at emotionally. But also those are 3 planes of movement that, with the restrictions of COVID, maybe we've not explored so much. And Ruth's just talked about how doing the dancing every day and feeling that wanting to be, I mean, when dancers think of being in a studio, it's because there's free space, partly free space to move in, and there's that freedom. So that space, that empty space, has these 3 dimensions in it. So how can we use those 3 dimensions and experience them through the Qigong, but also amplify them into doing other movements? And there are 3 basic, I mean, not just basic, but the 3 basic actions of our joints are flexion, extension, and rotation. So it's another triad. I love triads. So how do those intersect? How do we bend, fold, crease our bodies? How do we expand, extend our bodies? And how do we rotate our bodies and our body parts in those 3 dimensions? So this is a little bit, you know, it sound a little bit intellectual, but I want to explore this physically. And of course, the metaphors are all there, and exploring and expanding our movement and looking towards experiencing all those possibilities could also be possibilities in our lives, if that makes sense. So you folks have become, you know, experts with this work, because I've never had a class that was together every week, basically, for, you know, over a year, the same people. And what you get out of that in anything, just like with any relationship, is there's a deepening and a possibility for transformation that doesn't exist when we flip just from one thing to another. So I really, really am so grateful for you for sticking with this.
Right.
And partly it's just, I really want to celebrate the commit. I mean, because we've kind of done this thing after this break, I want to also say, I really celebrate that everybody shows up. And we haven't talked about that, but we've shown up, even, and myself included, even when things were rough, things weren't going well, and we showed up and we did the work together. So that's a really important thing. Okay, so let's get up.
Did you get Amanda's apology?
Pardon?
Did you get Amanda's apology?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Showing up.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to make sure I was recording, so that you could get that recording. So let's just start where we have in the past, which is looking at those 3 dimensions the brain gym way.
Mhm.
So noticing where we are in the sagittal axis, forward and back. In brain gym, we call it the focus dimension. Just find out where you're at. And you can just leave your, mics on if you want. I'm just going to share today that just going forward and back, I noticed the tension in my shoulders. And in a sense, I really, what with my involvement with something called Curriculum in Motion, my involvement taken for Bob, I'm teaching 2 other classes of different kinds of brain gym. I felt a lot of weight on my shoulders. And they're trying to hold me up. And we all know that that's not a very effective way of doing it. So raise your arms if you're balanced in this dimension. Okay, that's great. And for those of us that are not, I'm going to just suggest that we do the owl. Normally we do, we do the calf hump, go to it as a first, but I know that I need the owl in order to really be present here and not trying to hold up other burdens at the same time. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Now let's do one that we haven't done for a long time in this dimension, which is the grounder. That's sorry, gravity glider. So crossing your legs, reaching way up high, reaching way forward, stretching out, looking forward on the floor, and back up. And now we're going to add some rotation to it right away. So rotating, reaching out. Rotating the other way. Okay, and changing legs. When you're ready, we'll do the same thing, reaching way up and exhaling, reaching way forward. Inhaling way up. Add a rotation, reaching way forward because the rotation has changed your direction, but you're still moving the upper half of your body forward. Inhale up, change the rotation. So relax a second and just notice how we've just combined those three basic actions in this brain gym, right? We've got extension, we've got rotation, and we've got flexion, okay? So when we combine those all together, we get more diagonals and complex motions. But let's now just, let's explore the centering dimension. Okay, so reaching up on our vertical axis and down on our vertical axis. How high can you reach and stay grounded? And can you fold and keep that buoyancy? Can you fold and keep space in your joints? So folding without necessarily losing our sense of buoyancy. So on this earth, right, we have gravity, we have the force of gravity. And a lot of what our muscles do, because we stand vertically, unlike a lot of animals, most of the animals, they started all much more horizontal. Well, we've turned ourselves to the vertical dimension. So this one, we really have to organize ourselves to do that, because this is, we're always, in a sense, I mean, people say fighting gravity, but let's not think of it as a fight, but we're always in relation to gravity. We are always aligning ourselves so that we move, you know, our head is as far away from gravity as our body can get. And then we can extend that further by jumping, by springing. So it's always that thing between that extension and that flexion that releases into gravity. So raise your hands if you feel centered in the centering dimension, if you feel in balance in the centering dimension. Okay, so Marietta already told us she wants grounding, and this is a dimension that is really great for working on grounding. And Audrey maybe would like some help here. So any particular energy exercises, if we go with the brain gym. So energy exercises, remember, are all the buttons, thinking caps, energy on, water.
Yes, the earth, will we start with earth buttons, like earth buttons?
Okay, earth buttons, yes. Let's start with earth buttons. Okay, and then shall we balance that out with space buttons? So, Audrey, is there something you'd like to add to that?
I can't remember anything we do. I just was having real trouble with balance when I went over. You know,
Okay,
when you bend
well-
over, I was losing my balance.
So let's do balance buttons. And let's also do the variation on balance buttons. I don't know if you remember this one, but where you just hold the balance buttons and you do a lazy 8 with your nose. So infinity sign with your nose, just your eyes can be on a fixed point, if you like. And then you let your head do the lazy 8 around the focus of your eyes. And then when you're ready, do the other side, both ways, if you like. One just holding the head steady, and the other with the lazy 8s. Okay, we're going to take a little detour here, since this seems to be, this was one priority mentioned, because the thing that helped me so much with balance was the rhythmic movement training. So I'm going to show you on the ground, we're going to do a couple of rhythmic training movements. The first one is the heel rocking. No, actually, okay, so we're going to do that one, but let's start maybe, that's fine, with the heel rocking. If you're having difficulty with that going up through the top of your head, try the gentle rolling of the head from side to side, just allowing the weight of the head to shift, like you have, you know, the liquid inside your skull, like imagining it's all liquid, of course it is mostly water anyway, is rolling you from one side to the other. So it's like the contents inside the skull are rolling the skull on the floor. So let's just play with those two movements to start with on the floor, and just leave you on your own time to do it. When you do the heel rocking, if you find that the action of the feet, if the rocking is stopping somewhere on your body, on your way through your head, and you don't feel the rocking all the way up to your head, then just notice where the movement stops and see if there's something that you can let go of, so that that movement can pass through that area and right up through the head. And it's useful, if that happens, also to stop. Don't just keep rocking. Stop, take a breath, notice what was going on, and then do it again. So it gives your nervous system a chance to say, oh, that's what I need to let go of, and give it a little time to organize that for you. In other words, your nervous system, not your thinking, to find a solution, but allow your subconscious nervous intelligence to find out what it needs to do to release. if you want to try another one, you can, so it's your choice whether you continue with that exploration. And that would be to bring your feet up into constructive rest position, soles of the feet on the floor close to your bum, and play with pressing into the balls of your feet and pulling with your heels of your feet, transferring the weight from the balls to the heels to produce some rocking. But I would do this one slowly at first. So when you press with your balls of your feet, I feel the connection through my psoas muscle, you know, that connects from your tops of your thigh bones to your vertebrae, your lower vertebrae, your lumbar spine. And then when I press the heels, I feel the connection as I feel the connection from my heels to my sits bones, so that my sits bones are coming closer to my heels a little bit, rocking. And then I press with the balls of my feet, and that is lengthening. So it's the upward rocking, the heels produce the lower rocking, and I can do it that way as well.
So Dana, you're just rocking back and forth from your soles of your feet to the heels?
Yes.
Okay.
So the rocking, however, is all going in the direction of head to tail or feet to head, yes? So you're not rocking side to side. A lot of people think of rocking as side to side. In this, I think Dr. Blumberg called it sliding the back on the floor, but mine doesn't really slide. I've got carpet. So. I think it's another way of also tuning up our connection of our feet, the connection all the way through the body to the top of the head, and with our connection of our feet also to the ground. But we're not fighting gravity in this case. We're just dealing with pure movement. So I'll give you another minute to play with that. And then we're going to find out what happens when we stand up.
Do your feet stay on the floor fully?
Yes. Well, I'm on carpet, so yeah, but you're not lifting your toes up and lifting your heels up. You're pressing your heels into the floor, pressing your heels down away from you, and then you're pulling a bit with your toes on the floor to pull your bum closer to your feet. Then you're pressing with your heels to push your bum away and pulling. That's the way I feel.
Okay. So it's a very subtle feeling?
It's a very subtle feeling.
Okay, thank you.
And then if you like, you can let go of worrying about the feet and what they're doing and just feeling the rocking like you did with the heel rocking.
Oh, yeah. Now that made it much more clear.
Good. So when you're ready, let your body come to stillness and rest in stillness, taking some nice breaths. Let your body process that. And let's just allow our knees to drop toward one side, and then our hips recenter ourselves, knees drop to the other side, just really gently, just as much as gravity and your muscles will allow. Just gently waking up that rotation through the hips. The rotation of the spine that happens. So as you return from the gravity will allow your knees to drop towards one side, but then notice that action of rolling the hips back so they're all completely on the floor to bring your knees up, letting the knees then fall to the other side and then rolling the hips back. So you're activating that that use of the deep muscles. I'm trying to think of the word. It's called the lumbar tonic something. But it's that sense of using the hips to pull you back to center. That's using our core. But all you need to think of is rolling the hips back. And then rolling over to one side, coming up to side sit, onto your hands and knees, step forward. On your own time, let your blood normalize itself and stand up. Get a drink of water. Mm-hmm.
How interesting. I have a compressed fracture in my L1. And when I lay down on the floor, even though I've already done all my stretches this morning, when I lay down on the floor, I thought, oh my gracious. And so literally I had to calm everything down so that my mind could say, it's okay, you can lay your back down on the floor. It's not falling anywhere, it's just going down lower. So thank you for that moment of thinking about letting your body adjust to the circumstances. So thank you.
Great. So let's do our move in our centering dimension again and notice if there's any difference. So Audrey, what did you find out?
Oh, much better. No
Good.
wobbles, no wobbles.
Great. So that might be something for those of you, Marietta, first before I say anything, Marietta,
Yes.
did you find any more ease?
I found more ease, yes.
Okay, so for anybody who wants to improve their balance and their grounding, I found that those rhythmic movements on the floor, lying on the floor, had a big effect on balance for me. And as you know, I've been dancing for 57 years. I've worked on balance for 57 years. And I was just amazed at the difference. Made a lot more difference than the dance classes I took in improving my balance. So that's something that you could add to your practice, is playing with that rocking on the floor.
Okay.
Okay, so side laterality. So we can just notice the fluidity of moving to the side. We can notice if our weight is centered on both feet, with equal weight on both feet. So raise your hand if this dimension is centered. Okay, great. I thought so. I hope so. Great. So what I'm going to suggest is that I'm thinking I always have too many ideas to explore. So just we'll do a little bit of both. The first one is, so, you know, this is the brain gym way that we work in these dimensions. But let's now take it into really thinking that we can also help to balance and be active with these dimensions in just exploring them. So let's just free form before we do Qigong, explore, moving first of all in the sagittal dimension. However, you know, many ways you can move front and back in your space, thinking of taking your limbs in those directions. Noticing it, can we move backwards as easily as we can move forward? So we don't have to do, you know, formalized movements that are set that I teach you. We can explore it in our own way as well. Okay, and then with the up and down, what are the different ways? And this up and down combines with the homologous movement patterns. So how can we explore the up and down in different ways? And we do quite a bit of this in the Qigong. And then we have sideways movement. So how can we explore that? And it's always, we're combining flexion and extension. And then of course, in all these ways, we can also add rotation at the same time. And we can add the rotation, you know, moving in the sagittal dimension as well. So my idea for today was partly just exploring how the many ways you might combine flexion and extension and rotation in all those movement dimensions. So let's do the Qigong. And as we do the Qigong, I'm just inviting you to notice how we're doing all those things while we do Qigong. So our arms are moving both lateral dimension and centering dimension. Moving out into laterality and then centering. And here we go. Flexion, extension. And this movement, the first one in the series, because the other part is just considered the opening, getting ready. This is all, notice the limbs, the flexion is all in the sagittal dimension, while the body as a whole is moving in the centering dimension. Now we kind of leave out the centering dimension and we move sagittal to lateral and back into the sagittal again. And we're expanding that heart energy or tracing that heart energy out into our kinesphere, out into our space. So when I say the kinesphere is an imaginary sphere that we all inhabit. We each have our own sphere in which we move. Now we're going to step out laterally, and we really emphasize the lateral movement, but there is also the centering dimension as we do move up and down with the flexion of our legs and our arms. Remain in this lateral plane to the side. This one of tracing the rainbow. And if grounding is what is important to you, then of course it's the yield and the push through the feet that support that grounding. So I'm controlling the whole movement from side to side of my body with my feet. Okay, coming back to center, we have what I call the fountain. The Chinese name is pushing the clouds, I think. So here we have that strong sense of that vertical centering dimension as the arms open the energy out laterally. Feeling that energy from the soles of your feet coming up out through the top of your head. And then that opening out to the side. And we've worked so much with that connection through the fingers into the shoulders, so we know that as we're opening out to the side, we're opening out all the way from the center of our back and our shoulder blades. Feeling that opening. Whew, just like a wonderful fountain of water spilling down over our shoulders and our arms, all the way out and dribbling off our fingertips. So let's step to the side again, and let's now have that feeling of up the energy going from the feet all the way up through the top of the head. So this time, concentrate not so much on the lateral movement, but how we go up and over the top of the rainbow. So tracing up and over the top, that connection from the feet all the way up through the top of the head, like another kind of fountain of energy reaching out through the tops of our head. But we've added this beautiful arc to it. I don't know if it feels differently to you now. We can really create space. And coming back to the center, we'll just do a couple of these. And now we're going to add the pushing of the hands. Actually, this is rolling the arms is the Chinese name. I actually looked these up this morning. So we're adding that rotation for the first time in the Qigong series. So it's really interesting to me, this movement. Look at what the rotation does. So you can look at the hand coming forward sagittally, but as you rotate, that becomes lateral. Pushing forward, but it becomes lateral because of the rotation of the spine. So here we are out in a really fully lateral movement, and then we bring it back to the sagittal. And then we can transition into, this is called rowing the boat. Okay, so we're going to come back for a moment to our fountain. Feeling that connection from the soles of your feet, the energy up out through the top of the head. Okay, so when we come up, out of the top of the head, out of that reach up, we can let the head drop over, come back up. And this time, as the arms descend, open your face to the ceiling. Always keeping the lift up through the center. So what I'm saying is, as we come up through the top of the head, it's like that. Now the head is the fountain and it's spilling over forward, creating a nice curve in the body, but not a curve of the spine. And then as you come up and you lift your head to the ceiling, it comes up and out over the top, but it is not crunching in. It's that extension of the energy that reaches out and out into space without. If you feel any crunching in your lower back, then you're not lifting up and out. If you feel anything, you should feel a stretch along the front here as I move. Shoulder blades stay on the back, and that will be supported if you think as your arms drop of reaching out through your little fingers. So then there's no way I'm going to go that way or that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just try that movement once, alternating going forward and back, and then we'll do the whole roll the boat. So here we go. Up through the top, head falls over. It comes back up through the center and reaches up to the sky. Up through the center, reaches over to the earth. Up to the center, reaches up to the sky. Twice more, up to the center, over, curve, up to the center, up to the sky. Okay, now let's take the roll the boat arms. So coming up and over, and now you come through the center, arms, knees are relaxed and bent, and you come up and over again. But use that lift through the spine as you do it. As I go over 4, it's like I feel the water dripping off my fingertips and my head. And as I come up, again, that connection from my little fingers to my shoulder blades supports me to do this movement without any compression of my spine. Opening the heart as you do that. And then let's shift to reaching out to the side. This one is called lifting the ball. Keeping the connection of the feet on the floor, to the floor. Again, energy pouring out through the ends of the fingers. So notice we've introduced another figure here. The arms in a way, and I maybe exaggerate this more than the Chinese would, I don't know, making figure 8s. And what an amazing thing the figure 8 is. It's the way our, when we're a little lump of cells becoming a fetus, and we first develop our circulatory system, it's a simple figure 8. And our circulation system is based just an elaboration of that figure 8. They call it a lemniscate. And it's I don't know, it's just quite wonderful to me. Because it's neither flexion and extension is just so perfectly coordinated to create this flow, right? Because flexion and extension by itself doesn't really have a lot of flow. But when we move in figure 8s with any part of our body, we create a flow. So that's another thing that we can explore. But let's continue with our
I'm going to leave you for now. Thank you so very much. I got to get ready to go. But
Yep,
thank you,
okay.
Dana. Thank you, ladies, and have a great rest of your day and night.
Take care.
Bye.
So if we could maybe finish the first half of the Qigong set. Have you got time, people?
Yeah.
Okay. So reaching up, this is the looking at the moon. So once again, here we have rotation. And for me, this also is a kind of elongated figure 8. in three-dimensional space. This movement I worked and worked and worked on over the years because there's just so many different aspects to it. So today we're focusing on the rotation and that figure 8 in it. And that flow. And then we come to the pushing of the palms. Which I call caressing the world. It's like I have this little globe of the world right here. I caress it and then I send it off into space around the sun. I caress it again and I send it off to space. Wouldn't it be nice if everybody thought caressing the world instead of just exploiting it?
Mhm.
And of course, the other aspect to this is we are encircling what the Chinese consider our lower energy center. In the body, which may be more concerned with our physical energy and our survival in the world. And then we have, this movement. Now I forgot. I used to think this was called Parting the Clouds, but I think I may have that title wrong. And I just forgotten what I found out it was called, but anyway. So we've got that double rotation now, the rotation of the whole longitudinal aspect of our body, of the spine, from the feet all the way up to the top of our heads. And then we've got the rotation of our forearms. Because our arms are able to rotate, our elbow joints can rotate, whereas our knees can't. So this is sort of like all the ways we can rotate put together. And we see one side and then the other. Okay, and then we can go to our finish. So just a little sharing maybe any observations, noticing.
I was able to follow you better today. Everything is different. So thank you very much. That felt very good.
Good.
It's interesting how just thinking about something different in the same exercise makes you concentrate on a different part of the body and opening up in a different way. It's good.
Like doing
Thank you very much, Dana.
You're welcome.
Nice to see everyone.
Yeah, and you, that's it.
Well, thank you and have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, thanks very much, Dana. Feel so good after our class all the time.
Great.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
It's been special, that's for sure, Dana.